All right, let's talk NBA playoffs here. Andre Iguodala was inserted into the Golden State starting lineup. Yesterday on the show, Eric Goodman was filling in yesterday. And I said to him, the key to this show, or the key to this game, Game 4, is Steve Kerr.
Okay.
He said, why? I said, because Steve Kerr's got to try a few different things to get his Golden State team on track.
Sure.
And he did. He took Andrew Bogut out of the starting lineup. He put Andre Iguodala into the starting lineup, and it worked really, really well. There's something else they did as well. They threw more people at LeBron James.
Sure.
Instead of letting him go one-on-one with a defender,
right,
they were throwing 2 and 3 guys at him periodically because you can't allow him to score 41 points a game. But let's talk Iguodala first, all right?
I'll just say real quickly, they didn't just throw people at LeBron James. They threw LeBron James. They threw him into the stands.
That's true.
Yeah. No, but that, I mean, we all know Andre Iguodala, former Denver Nugget star. Can I say star?
You know,
starter.
I think he was on the cusp of being an all-star here.
Yeah. He was definitely either 1 or 1A in regards to most important player on the 2013 team that was number 3 seeded. Well, Andre Iguodala ascended last night. I mean, we talk about podium games in NBA circles, like if you're good enough to being brought out to the podium after the game and be interviewed by the media. Well, Iguodala took it up another level. He didn't just have a podium game; he had a Doris Burke game. He was the one interviewed after the game
on national TV.
Yeah, that means you're the game MVP if that happens. Unbelievable, Andre Iguodala.
Well, you know, when Andre was here, he was one of the highest paid guys on the team.
Yeah,
and he was the guy a lot of people looked to at crunch time. I don't think he's made to be the alpha dog.
No.
I don't know that he's made to be the number 2 guy. But as a number 3 or a number 4 on your team, that means you have a pretty good team.
Right.
Because he is a really good defender. I mean, when he was here, he was getting votes for Defensive Player of the Year.
Spectacular defender.
And offensively, he could pop the 3 every once in a while. The shot looked a little ugly at times, but he hit some big 3s when he was here. And I thought he did a fabulous job filling in when Ty Lawson was hurt a couple of years ago when they did win those 57 games.
Yeah.
And Andre Iguodala had the ball in his hands a lot, and I thought he did a fabulous job playing they didn't call him a point guard, but I thought he played really, really well. With Golden State, he's the 3rd or 4th most important guy on that team right now. He's had a better playoffs than anybody else on that Golden State team, don't you think?
He's up there, and you can't necessarily quantify defense, but it's been so important. And last night, I mean, we saw so many guys struggling for Golden State, but Andre Iguodala confidently shooting the 3. Andre Iguodala playing glue-like defense. Andre Iguodala meeting Doris Burke.
Yeah. He also covered LeBron a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, he was all over him, and then LeBron had an amazing game. We'll talk more about it, of course, the head injury and the whole thing. But he did not have a dominating scoring night, and a lot of that was because of our old buddy.
Iguodala was a weird cat.
Yeah,
he's a very weird cat. Yeah, I mean, you and I spent a lot of time in the locker room with him, watching him play. Of course,
after he got dressed.
And I will never forget one day the Nuggets were playing better perimeter defense for a good stretch. They were a lousy perimeter defense team. Right. But they had a nice stretch where they were playing it pretty well. And I went up to Andre after the game and I said, how do you explain this?
Right.
And he said to me, it's me. I said, really? He said, yeah, it's me. And I thought he was still kidding.
Right.
And I walked away, and a couple of minutes later, he calls me back and he says, I'm not kidding. It's me.
Right.
You know, it's funny because he had this air of bravado about him.
Sure.
You know, he dressed the part.
Oh, well dressed.
He carried himself that way.
Olympian.
A little bit arrogant. But he really wanted a lot of love.
Oh, no question about it.
He always liked to get a lot of love for some reason.
Yeah, I think he enjoyed being the highest paid player on the team, not just financially, but also status-wise. And he was vital, but the Nuggets weren't going to overspend for him. And sure enough, he loses to Golden State in the playoffs, and where does he end up?
Well, he also didn't want to be here. I think if Masai Ujiri had stayed as general manager, Andre might still be here. I think he came because of Masai, and I think he very well could have stayed because of Masai. Would you agree with that?
Well, I spoke to a Nuggets insider actually last week and said they could have overspent for Iguodala and had the understanding that indeed Iguodala would come back to Denver for that price, but they weren't going to pay it. And again, won a night last night, and he's had a pretty good series, a pretty good playoffs like we talked about. But he's not the MVP of that team, clearly. And
but he has been so far.
He's been pretty important.
I think he's been the best player on that team so far. Hey, first segment brought to you by the Harmony Foundation, Colorado's premier treatment program for drug and alcohol addiction. It's located just outside of Estes Park, a very nice, very private 45-acre mountain campus. It is insurance friendly, so visit harmonyfoundationinc.com.